Hi, I'm Tim Sinclair Smith. I'm the manager of the Saskatoon Forestry Farm Park and Zoo. Today what we're going to be doing is doing a health check-up on our cougars. We have 2 male cougars and it's been about 2 years since they've had a full check on their health. So we're going to be looking at everything on this animal. We're going to be looking at their muscle and see how their muscle status is. We're going to be looking at their teeth. Everybody wants to see a carnivore's teeth, and a cougar's teeth is just as spectacular as any meat eater that you'll see. So yeah, they're an important part for them, because if they're not working properly, obviously it can affect the rest of their health. Now, one of the most important things that we do is preparation before we go in and do anything with a dangerous animal. It's really important that we all sit down and we discuss what the procedures are going to be doing. There's a lot of people involved in this. There's the veterinarians, there's the zookeeping staff, there's the management and the administration processes, there's paperwork that has to be completed. We need to review everything in detail so that everybody knows what their jobs are. Nobody's falling over top of each other, because that's the last thing you need to be happening, is disorganisation when you're working with a dangerous animal. As you can imagine, there's a bunch of different meetings happening when you're dealing with a situation like this. You've got the veterinarian teams, and they're working on the anesthesia, they're working on all the equipment they're going to need when they're going over and doing the medical and health reviews on the animals. So there's panels, there's needles for blood withdrawals, there's all of the equipment that's needed for radiographs and ultrasounds, and a bunch of different things all coming together. So there's little meetings happening here, there's little meetings happening there, so that we can try and make sure that this goes as smoothly as possible.
We're doing CBC Chem, and then we're also going to take blood for FEL-VFIV, so leukemia, and then in fact like the feline version of HIV, because they've never been tested before, and then heartworm testing, just because they've never been tested before.
On the other side of it, then you've got the zookeepers. They're getting all of the equipment around ready that the veterinarians need, that they wouldn't normally carry around with them. So we need tables that can roll the animals around so we can turn them around, because as we're working with them, we've got to get different angles with the radiographs and with the ultrasounds, etc. So it needs to happen smoothly and easily. I mean, we don't want to keep these animals under any longer than we have to. So the smoother it goes, the better it is for the animals. Now, a lot of people think probably the most dramatic moment is going to be when we dart the animal. They think that there's going to be all this noise, that there's going to be all this action. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Everything quiets down, everybody quiets down. There's only a few people that go in and actually watch the actual darting of the animal, just to make sure the animal's safe. And then everybody leaves and everybody waits. And it takes about 15-20 minutes for that anaesthetic to take full effect. But in that time, everybody's really just sitting around waiting. So what happens now? The anaesthesiologist goes in, because they've got to make sure that the animal's actually gone down, because the last thing you want to do is go in there and it hasn't taken full effect. So everybody waits until they give the all clear. Once they give the all clear, well, all the action breaks out. It might look chaotic sometimes, but everybody knows what they're doing, and everybody's going to their space and getting it ready. Now, one of the things that you'll see throughout any of these type of procedures with dangerous animals is safety is absolutely paramount. What happens if that cougar was to wake up right in the middle of it? What if somebody was caught in there and couldn't get out? So we take that safety very seriously. You do see somebody in there with a gun, and that is for safety reasons. So what's really important to a carnivore? It's teeth, right? And it's not just important for wild carnivores, it's also very important for captive carnivores. Now, 2 years ago, these guys had some problems with their teeth. So it was really important that we got back in there and had a check on them and see where they are. And today what we're going to do is we're going to have a look, and hopefully there's not going to be as much problems with their teeth as there was 2 years ago.
So this filling is appropriate, as we saw in the other patient. And then if you compare this filling to this other filling, hopefully you can appreciate how black and there's a hole in the tooth. So this root canal just needs to have its filling replaced. But on radiographs or x-rays, both of the teeth looked good.
So we have to cure this in 1 to 2 millimeter increments, right? So I have to basically make a sandwich, a filling sandwich. after I clean this off, it's all etched and prepped again, and then I'm going to seal it. So the sealant will kind of fill in all those tiny little cracks that I potentially made.
Now our two Cougars, they're still quite young, but we still have to go in there and have a check on their joints, have a check on their muscles, and just make sure that everything is working the way it should be. It's really important while that you have the opportunity in total safety to be able to move around their legs and move those joints around, just to make sure that there's no problems that potentially could be happening in the future.
Obviously, it's important for such a big cat to have adequate movement in all the joints of the legs. So I'm just now checking his claws and the pads of his feet, and then we'll just move my way up the back leg just to check that everything looks as it should.
So the beauty about being in 2017 is technology. Now, things that we couldn't have possibly done 20 years ago now is a reality. So we're able to take these ultrasound machines, we're able to scan over the animal, we're able to look at their internal organs and make sure they're all functioning properly. It's quite incredible what we're able to learn from this animal and potentially, see something before it happens.
There we go. That looks good, so you can see cortex and medulla.
So on our physical exam, we determined that Jethro has a swelling associated with near his left elbow. So now I'm just using an ultrasound to determine if there's actually any free fluid associated with some of the muscles of the leg.
So what's the difference between a cougar and your cat at home? Well, some would say, well, that's pretty obvious, but in some things, it's not that much different. When you look at vaccinations, these guys need the same vaccinations as your normal cat would at home, because they potentially could get the same viruses and diseases that your cat could get at home. So this is a great opportunity for us to take blood work, check over the animal and make sure their total health is 100%.
So I've just had a listen to the heart. It's regular, there's no arrhythmias or murmurs, indicating that it is functioning well. Also, his respiration rate is regular, no concerns, no abnormal noises when I auscultate with the stethoscope. We've just got Kara here is just administering the first vaccine. We're vaccinating against rabies virus, so it's just going under the skin in his back right leg. And I'm now just going to have a look at his body condition and also just do some general palpation of his abdomen just to see if I can feel any abnormalities with some of his internal organs.
So all the animals here at the zoo, they're all captive animals, and the majority of them have some type of identification on them. So one of the ones that we use for things like cougars is chips. So we inject the chip under the skin just like you would for your dog or cat, so that they can be identified. So if they show up at the veterinarians, they do a scan with a multi-reader and they can find out who's that owner of that animal. So with these guys, it's really no different. Sometimes these guys are very similar and we don't know who is who.
There we go. So we have found it.
Oh, great.
So you might be able to see the number there. So that number is specific to Jethro and it's just a form of identification that we have.
So what happens at the end? Everything's all finished, all the procedures are done. Now we have to reverse the anesthesia drugs so the animals can come out of the anesthetic. Again, one of the number one things that we're always looking at is safety. So what we've done is instituted the lockout procedure, and it's very similar to an electrical lockout procedure. So the whole idea is that we want to eliminate human error as much as possible. So by creating a system where people have to put a couple different locks on and they have the only key to it, so you know when you put that key in your pocket and you go into that enclosure, that nobody's going to open that gate and let that animal out on top of you. So it gives you that peace of mind that you're safe while you're in there. It's really important at that stage that we clear everybody out. So we want to make things as quiet as possible. We have a couple people in there just watching them, making sure that they come out properly and that they're safe and that they're okay. And then basically what happens is it just shuts down. We want to put it in total quiet. We want everybody out. We'll only have one person that really comes back just to check on them and give us feedback just to make sure that they're okay. So a roundup of the day. What happens? We all get together back in the boardroom again, and we go over everything that happened. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What can we do better next time? So we evaluate that in detail and we make sure we get that into our protocols and we get that into our procedures to ensure that we're doing everything not just well this time, but even better the next time.